Where'd Craig go?
Hearing on redistricting for census.
Hey, we are live, again, twice in one night. Wanted to call this hearing to order. This is usually not one of the most exciting things we do, but every 10 years we do redistricting. And we get a gentleman, Mike Slaughter, and he hands us one of these little things that you'll be able to get up at City Hall if you need it. We will try to get online to show you what the maps are, but there are not a ton of effects, but obviously we've had some growth out east, so we had to move some people around. Matter of fact, I think, I believe I am now going to another ward where I live at, off of 3 Mile. But anyway, if y'all want to, we can turn it over to Mr. Slaughter and you kind of highlight what you got going on here.
You want to? Thank you, Mayor. Members of the board, appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight for this public hearing on the redistricting that's following the 2020 decennial census. And as the mayor mentioned, every 10 years we have a new decennial census, and it's required that we take a look and see if our wards are out of balance when it comes to the one person, one vote principle. I handed out to each of you a PowerPoint presentation, a hard copy of the PowerPoint presentation that I will go through. If there's not any questions, I will go ahead and proceed. On page 2 of the presentation, what is equal distribution? United States Constitution, the Voting Rights Act of 65, and other federal law require equal distribution of total population among the voting districts or election districts that we call wards.
Hey, Mr. Slaughter, you got, I don't know if you know, but those cut off, you gotta turn them back on.
Well, since nobody's here
Okay,
other than the paper,
Okay.
yeah. So I decided just to leave the electronics off,
Okay.
unless that helps on the YouTube.
No,
Hey, did we give y'all a
can't see
copy
it
of
on
this?
YouTube.
I can
You
give them
have an extra
mine.
copy? Yeah.
Is this,
I did give them,
they can look at mine.
Here, you go. Yeah, you can get y'all.
and
I don't actually have that one.
$20.
Thanks.
Just joking. Forgot I'm on YouTube. The equal distribution applies to the one person, one vote principle. And what that comes down to is we take total population of the city, divide that by the number of wards, 6 wards. That gives us what we refer to as an ideal population. And then we make the calculations based off of that, which I will go into briefly. And as the mayor mentioned, when redistricting is concerned, especially for a city, if you annex, you've got to redistrict at that time, even if you didn't annex any people. Every square inch has to be in a ward. But if you annex, after every decennial census, counties, school districts, states, whatever, have to look and see if they're out of balance. If they are, they need to address that, and that's what the city of Petal is in the process of doing. On page 3, on the redistricting process, required standards of section 2 and 5 of the Voting Rights Act and other federal laws, equal distribution of total population among the districts has to be 10% or less. And we will take a ward if we don't want to be no more than 5% under that ideal population, or no more than 5% above that ideal population on that equal distribution. We also want to make sure that it does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in a language minority group, and it does not have a racially discriminatory purpose or effect. Additional standards that we look at, if we can, incorporate public concerns, and we definitely do that, and that's what we do in our previous meetings we've had and this public hearing tonight. Avoid, if possible, redistricting elected officials out of their district. And the reason is, it's not that, hey, I'm looking out for Ward 5 alderman or anybody else, is that you were elected. It wouldn't be fair to me to put you in Ward 6 in the same one of you got to go. That's not fair. So in my 30-something years of doing this, we've never had to put 2 in one ward. And that's important because you were elected by your constituents there and citizens of your ward. Effectuate the least amount of change. We find if we can do the least amount of change, get the wards in balance, that usually works best. And have the visible lines of demarcation, avoid splitting census blocks, and give consideration to polling places and precincts, especially so at the county level. On page 4, we can see the population history in 2010, the 2020 official census. We increased in population to over 11,000. And then our post-annexation had added a few more to 11,026. And that's what we're redistricting based on that. On page 5, you can see that we have the racial composition of the existing city, the annexed area, and the enlarged city. Again, this is based on the 2020 decennial census, and that stayed very similar between the existing city and the enlarged annexation area. Page 6 is really the table where we crunch the numbers and determine whether we need to redistrict or not. This is referred to as our benchmark plan, and that is the plan that is that the camera is pointed to. I'm sorry, let me flip this over and get it to the benchmark plan. This benchmark plan are our existing wards that were constructed based on the 2010 decennial census, public law data 94-171, and we take our current wards and then bring in the 2020 decennial census, and that's what's known as our benchmark plan. And then we do the calculations. Our total population of the city, as you can see on the table, and I may point it out, it may help on the YouTube, and pardon me for standing in front of you, but we can see the total population is 11,026. We divide that by 6 wards, gives us an ideal population of 1,838. This variance here, when you see the number where it's a positive number, that's the population above that ideal population. If you see a negative number, that's a population where it's the total population is under that ideal population. So you can see the total population by ward. You can see the ideal population next to that. And then you see the variance, whether it's above it or below it. And then we also have the percentage. When we see the percentage, Ward 1 is 1.1% over. Ward 2 is 3.3% over. Ward 3 is 2.7% over. Ward 4 is 8.7% under. Ward 5 is 10.1% over. And Ward 6 is 8.5% under. We have a problem really with wards 5, 6, a problem with wards 4, 5, and 6 is that those wards themselves should be 5% or less. When we add up the largest negative number, take the absolute value of it, and the largest positive number, the 8.7% for Ward 4 and the 10.1% for Ward 5, we get a total deviation or variance of 18.8%. That number needs to be less than 10%. So any one ward shouldn't be more than 5% over or 5% under that ideal population, and therefore the total deviation between the two shouldn't be any more than 10%. So that's when we met with the board and started the process of coming up with a plan. The way that plan went, the board directed my firm to prepare a preliminary consultant plan, presented that to the board. After that, we came down for a work session so we could tweak it. I had my planner and GIS guy and computer here, and we had a work session and tweaked it to come up with Plan 2, which is what we're having the public hearing on as well, in addition to the benchmark plan, presenting the Plan 2, which is a combination of the consultant and the work session redistricting plan to come up with Plan 2. On page 7, you see this still refers to our benchmark plan that shows graphically how each ward compared to the ideal population, the percent above and below, and you can see that 18.8% difference between Ward 4 and Ward 5. There's also a map in the handout of the benchmark plan. Next, on page 9, this is where we have our consultant work session redistricting Plan 2, and I'll step around to the map and go over those numbers as well. if you look on the wards, you see where it says existing Ward 1, existing Ward 2, and so forth, all the way through existing Ward 3. Those were the numbers that we've taken from the benchmark plan that I've already gone over. I have those on this table so you can see a comparison of where we changed. So you can see Ward 1, the alternate Ward 1. You can see that Ward 1 did not change at all. Ward 2, you can see the change went from 60 people above to 24 people below. That is a minus 1.3%. You can see Ward 3 did not change. Ward 4 was 160 under that ideal population. Now it's only 37 under, so it went from a minus 8.7% to a minus 2%. Ward 5 was 186 over, which was 10.1%. Now it's only 13 over, which is 0.7%. Ward 6 was 157 under that ideal population. Now it's only 23 under. So that went from a minus 8.5 to a minus 1.2. So you can see that our total alternate plan deviation, you add up the two green numbers, 2.7 and 2.0, gives us a 4.7%. So not only do we have every ward under 5%, but that total deviation is under 5%, which we're in a really good threshold there. If we go to page 10, again, this is a graphical depiction of our wards by population and the percent over and under as depicted in the table. And then the next 6 pages actually give you the information by ward, the racial composition, as well as the total population and the percentage over and under for each and every ward. Ward 1 on page 11, Ward 2 on page 12, Ward 3 on page 13, Ward 4 on page 14, Ward 5 on page 15, and Ward 6 on page 16. The last thing I'll point out on the map is we have actually cross-hatched where any changes have occurred. The red lines are the ward lines as they are right now. Without any, the board has not adopted a new plan yet. That'll take place sometimes after this public hearing, I would assume, at a later meeting. But you can, so the red lines depict where the wards are right now. If you see a shading or yellow shading like in Ward 5 cross a red line along Red Fern Trail, you can see that's where it crossed into what used to be Ward 2. You see the total population, the number of white, black, and other. You can also see an area for Ward 4 that crossed over into what used to be Ward 5. We also have the total population and by race as well. And then we have one more area where Ward 6 crossed over into Ward 4, and you can see the total population and by race as well there. So that there were 3 areas where we had change to get everything in balance and meet the one person, one vote principle, and also keeping in mind the impact on the minority voting strength, which stayed pretty much the same for the black and other races throughout each and every ward, all 6 wards. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn the meeting or the public hearing back over to you, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you. Questions from the alderman?
Solid.
Well, thank you for your help.
I don't really, Mr. Donovan put up a lot of email back and forth, so, I mean, I know he's one of your team now, so I appreciate his hard work getting us to this point. So.
Let me tell you, it's a team effort between Mr. Donovan and you all in making this happen, and we certainly appreciate that opportunity to do so.
Mike, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So let's say that all these aldermen or 4 or 5 of these aldermen are happy with this. What's the next step? How do we move forward from here? You've been down this road a lot. Just kind of smooth it out for us if you don't mind.
Thank you for that setup, Mr. Eaton.
I didn't mean for it to be a legit question.
It is a legit question. It is a legit question. I don't know what the next step. No, I'm telling you.
We got a pain in the ass with that question.
No, the next step is, and Rocky, as a matter of fact, I brought a jump drive I will give to you that has, it also has, Mayor, you asked about this PowerPoint presentation. It's right here on the jump drive. It has, we have a PDF of it as well as the PowerPoint version of it. We have the legal descriptions on this jump drive as well. So between the city clerk and the city attorney, y'all may want to generate another copy of this. But we've got the legal descriptions. You'll put together an ordinance for adopting this. It will have the new legal descriptions in it, a map attached to it. Once, and of course, you'll advertise it. You'll put it on the regular meeting agenda. And of course, you'll come in and you'll come up. You'll have a motion, a second, discussion, and a vote on it. And after that, then we will take this map, instead of it saying Plan 2, we will turn it into the official ward map of the city of Petal. We'll work with the circuit clerk on making sure they have exactly what they need to make these changes. So when elections roll around again, everything is good to go. Once at the board meeting where you adopt this, it immediately becomes your ward. So you don't wait until after the next election. Once you adopt it, you only have one ward boundaries. And when you adopt one, the other one goes away, and will be your new one immediately upon that.
Is there a minimum day? I mean, we have our next meeting in what, 2 weeks?
First, Mrs. Hogue from Forest County voting clerk said we have to have this all approved by 1 May in order for it to be effective.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was 15 days, but I guess 2 weeks would be
So we
fine.
need to vote before May 1st.
Yes.
So we got to advertise it and have that all set up by May 1st.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to advertise
well-
anything other than publishing the ordinance, right?
I don't think, Rocky, that
I'm asking, yeah, I don't know.
we advertised for this public hearing.
That's all we had to advertise.
And now we've taken input from everyone that was here. And next thing is just, you need to adopt it.
Okay, so we just need to put it on our agenda.
Yeah, all you
We
need to do
gotta
is put it
do
on
the
your agenda.
ordinance, and
Okay, you got the old one that we did.
We'll have the old one.
I will say anecdotally, you used to vote, it didn't matter what ward you were in, everybody voted for everybody. And when we had 5 of us, and then we went to 7, and then we went to specific wards. But I do remember one time I thought, okay, this one little place is in Ward 5, and I thought, all these people kept calling and saying, I didn't see your name on the thing. So I checked it out and had to actually take the names and addresses over there to get them. So there is some give and take for that. I mean, we're passing a lot of papers. I know you and us do what we need to do, but
Yeah, I know there's
if you think you're gonna have a tight race, double check the list.
Yeah, there was some frustration on the last one because there were some people that, in part of this process, you cleaned up our city boundaries because when we did the last annexation, Ward 5, and they're all in Ward 5. Most of them are those 15 additional people that are like they weren't on my rolls to go talk to, but they are legitimately could vote, but they weren't. They had to do additional steps to get that should have had to do a lot of kabuki dance at the election polling station. So this formalizes all that. That's what this little bump out all that is. It includes a lot of stuff on the Sunrise.
That's right.
And if we did another annex anytime, then we would do this whole process over again.
Absolutely.
If we were awarded new territory.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with this.
We want to make one heck of it.
All right, this is a public hearing. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, are we ever gonna annex that chunk right there?
Middle.
Yes.
Is that a goal?
We're at.
We're gonna do everything.
We're trying, the judge told us to fix what we have. And we're working, and the mayor, we're working our infrastructure to fix and take care of the people we have right now.
I was just saying, we put a lot.
I'm not for annexing anything
Are we
right
talking
now.
about like
And we
this?
make sure these legal descriptions are not wrong, correct? There's no half houses or anything like that going on.
Well, let me tell you, that's a good question. And what we do when we're doing our redistricting, we try to follow visible lines of demarcation. And what that means is we try to avoid section lines which may go through a house.
Right.
If we follow streets, if we follow power lines and creeks and visible lines of demarcation, then you're not splitting properties and houses like that.
Yeah, and Mr. Godman actually clarified a lot of me, like on Sunrise, and also 42, where the city boundary is. They actually did a lot of that work for us, and say, hey, we're actually on east side of Sunrise, that is city land.
Yeah.
You know, same thing on the Gandy, where this portion was, Don basically said, no, we own on the north side. Now, again, to the easement, not to their houses, and that's kind of like I said, we don't have somebody that might have Forest County voter or a city worker, the city.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they cleaned up all that for us, that's what's shown here, at least on this side, that's
Yes,
what.
we did last time. We had, and the house wasn't built at the time, but there was annexation in the like the early 2000s. And the line kind of ran on the tip end of a cul-de-sac. And then the house got built. They had every city service that we had, and they were in the county. So that was one of the things we cleaned up on some of the few people that we did get.
Yeah, that right here, the front part of
That was
their,
PAA.
yeah, the
correct.
front part of their property was
Yeah.
city, and the backside was.
And there was issues with EMS and 911 calls and everything.
The judge helped clear all that up, and now they're formally, and they're on, going to be on the voter rolls for Ward 5, so welcome to the team.
Haskell, are you doing like Josh?
How do you mean?
Sitting behind the podium?
Oh, yeah,
And I don't-
yeah.
That's the only weird thing about sitting here. I'm like, what's back there? Any other questions?
Hey, Melissa,
Mhm.
I just noticed this up here, but I had one over here that people signed in and I had several people sign in earlier because I thought they would be here. I didn't realize you had that executive session, but I have it where these two signed in, so.
That's
Do
fine.
we need to sign in to get count?
No.
Sure.
I thought he was handing us a bill already.
Oh.
Man, that is awesome.
I think we already got
That man,
that.
heck, yeah.
Has the meter stopped?
Yes.
If that meter don't stop, then you get back to occupancy.
Yes.
Rocky,
That sounds like my plumber. They pull up- He's speaking from experience, you're fine.
All righty, that concludes our,
Well, we need a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor? That concludes everything. Thanks for hanging out with
So-
us.
Turn it off.
I want to executive copy there.
You two will follow on tomorrow.
I'll turn this over to the city clerk.
That's fine. Yeah,
And-
copy me when you have that next